So today we are talking about my lover is pressuring me to move in together and I'm not ready. The sex is great, but I want my independence. What is really at the core here is the notion of intimacy that goes beyond sex. You know, when your lover is pressuring you to move in together, it's really a different version of that sexual intimacy that you already have. They kind of relate to one another, but also you can look at it um, as two sides of the same coin. You know, when we have sexual relationship with a person, that's a very intimate, physical connection, as well as there is some mental, psychological, emotional component to it. But the main aspect of it is that there is a lot of physicality, physical connection and sexual interaction going on. Now, if your partner is pressuring you to move in together with them, you can also think of that as more or less the same desire, very similar to a connection. However, it is less physical in nature in terms of tactile. It's not a constant body to body type of a connection. It's more of a, if you will, persistent presence connection, right? If you moved in together, you would have more presence with one another. It's more of it. I would say it has a a mental aspect, a much more of a psychological, mental, emotional aspect to it. By the way, with the opportunity to also have more sex, because the more present you are, the more opportunities are available, the probability of having sex is increased. So rather than being kind of concerned, worried, and threatened by it, if your partner is asking you to move in together, what you want to do is actually open a channel of communication about the need of intimacy. Your intimacy, your need for intimacy revolves mainly around sexual contact, and his or her intimacy needs revolve around more of a mental, emotional presence contact, and that gives a person a sense of security, safety, pleasure, satisfaction, gratification. They're in gist, I would say they're really not much different from one another in core concept. Now, certainly there are some other differences, right? When you have a sexual episode or kind of a meeting or session or time, whatever we want to call it, together, usually it is confined to a fraction of the day, right? Usually it's not more than, let's say, a couple of hours, right? Maybe sometimes just a few minutes, sometimes maybe a little bit more. But basically it's a fraction of a day. When you move in together, probably the main difference here is the availability changes, that constant interaction changes from a fraction of a day to the whole day, or the majority of the day. And that's one aspect that you can kind of look at as difference. The other one, I believe, is more of a notion of commitment. I think moving in together to a lot of people means more than just moving in together and having a closer presence and being more intimate with each other. It may signal a certain long-term commitment that from which people are usually, stepping back and are kind of wary. They may not be ready to fully commit to a long-term relationship. So if they are not, if that is the core issue for you, as far as the difference between the sexual experience and moving in together is concerned, then the idea here is, again, to have an honest, open conversation, which I usually call dialogue, about these needs, so that the underlying anxieties, the underlying concerns, maybe discussed, may come to light. In fact, by doing so, you actually are on a better track to either figuring out this relationship, whether or not it would work on a long-term relationship or on a long-term basis, or just kind of dropping it early rather than wasting your time, or coming to a new agreement, coming to a new understanding. Through dialogue, people can actually discover a lot more about themselves and about their partner than they have assumed in the first place. Dialogue is a process of evolvement, of really kind of digging deeper into our own psyche as well as that of our partner. So the answer to this question really is in having that dialogue and digging deep to find out what is the core need for that type of a presence and connection that is related to moving in together. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me directly. Thank you.